Okay, this is A.APR.1, Algebra, Arithmetic with Polynomials and Rational Expressions 1, Video 1, Adding and Subtracting Polynomials. Okay, here are a few terms I'd like you to copy down in your journals and define them. We are finding the sum and difference of polynomials today. So what we have here is a polynomial expression in which we are adding two trinomials. They are trinomial. Tri means three. So we have one term, two terms, and three terms. So we're adding a trinomial to another trinomial. And in order for us to do that, we need to combine like terms. And when I'm talking about like terms, I'm talking about the variables that have the like or same exponents. So my job is to rearrange these trinomials so that they are in order for us to add them up. And some teachers like to add horizontally and some vertically. My personal preference is the vertical sum and difference. And in order for us to do that, we're going to put our terms in descending order. So we're going to look at our exponents in this case. So let's take our first polynomial and make sure that we have our terms in descending order and they are all accounted for. So all powers are accounted for from the highest term to the lowest term. All right, so we have positive 2x to the third power. The next power down would be the second power. Do I have any over here? I do. It's minus 5x to the second power. Now I'm looking for anything that has x to the first power. Anything in the first trinomial? Oh, there it is. So I have plus x to the first power. And then do I have anything in terms of x to the 0 power, which would just be a constant number? And I do not have a constant number in the first trinomial, so I am going to put a placeholder just in case I need that, and my placeholder will be a 0. All right, what are we doing here? We are adding, so I'm going to put my symbol in here, my addition symbol. And looking at the second trinomial, I'm going to try to group my partners, my terms, according to their exponents. All right, so in the second trinomial, I'm looking for something that has the third power. Do we have anything in here? Oh, there it is right in the middle, and that is a 1x to the third power. So I'm going to put it right under in the column of the x to the third powers. I would need an x to the second power if I'm staying consistent here. And do I have one of those? I do. It's a positive 2x to the second power. And again, staying consistent, if I want all of the columns accounted for, I'm looking for an x to the first power. And I don't have one in my second trinomial, but I do need to account for it. So I'm going to account for it with a placeholder called 0, because it's not existent. It isn't in there, so we need to account for it. And then do I have a constant or an x to the 0 power, in other words? And I do have one in this case. So I have a negative 1. All right, what are we doing to this line? We are adding them. And we're just going to follow our basic integer rules when it comes to adding. So I have 2x to the third plus 1x to the third would give me 3x cubed. Be careful of your signs. Negative 5 plus 2 is a negative 3x squared. I have 1x plus nothing, or 0, still gives me 1x. And then I have 0 plus negative 1, and that would still leave me with a negative 1. That is the final answer. We have combined all of our like terms, and we have found the sum of these two trinomials. Now we are working with finding the difference. We are going to use the same process, except we are going to be subtracting. So let's take the first polynomial, which happens to be known as a binomial because we have two monomials connected by this adding sign, the addition symbol. All right, so we're going to take the binomial and subtract it by this trinomial. Let's see how that looks. All right, first thing, let's look for the highest degree in our polynomial line here. And it looks like in both of them, the highest degree is the second degree. So let's start with that. We have 4n to the second power. And I don't have an n to the first power here, so I need a placeholder for that. So plus 0. And do I have an n to the 0 power, which is a constant? And I do. That is known as plus 5. And we are subtracting these lines. In the second polynomial, or the trinomial, let's look for common terms. So I have a second power of negative 2n squared. So don't forget about your sign in there. Negative, let's use the same color. So negative 2n squared. Then do I have an n to the first power? I do. It's right here. So we'll go plus 2n. And then do I have any n's to the 0 power, which is a constant? And I do. I have a negative 4. All right, let's subtract. 4n squared minus a negative. Remember those back-to-back signs. That means plus. So we have 6n squared. 0 minus positive 2n. So 0 minus 2 is negative 2n. And then I have 5 minus a negative 4, which is known as a positive 9. Okay, there is our final answer, combining all of our like terms. All right, last problem. We're going to find the difference again. So we're subtracting, and we're going to basically combine like terms. So let's hunt down the highest degree in the horizontal line. So in both polynomials, let's try to find the highest degree term. And we have a 2, a 1, a 0. Here's a first power, and here's another c to the 0 power. Okay, so the highest power is second power. 6c squared. I need a c to the first power. We have one. And then a c to the 0 power, and we have one. Subtract. And I don't have a c to the second power in this binomial, so I need a placeholder. Call it 0. I do have a c to the first power, and it happens to be a positive inside this parenthesis, so positive 3c. And then my c to the 0 is my constant here of negative 5. All right. So 6c squared minus 0, 6c squared. 3c minus 3c is 0, so I don't need to put anything in there. If you want to hold it a place for later, I'll throw it in there and then I'll simplify that later. 9 minus negative 5 is really saying 9 plus 5, which is a positive 14. Now in your answer, you don't want a 0. That just kind of looks silly there. So final answer would be 6c squared plus 14. Okay, in your journal, I'd like you to define the given terms on page 2 of the flip chart and write a few sentences on what you learned from this video. If you have any questions, bring those questions to class and we can answer them together.